So in this video, we're going to be looking at the Warrior Season 12 PvP gear. It now has its textures in the beta. You'll be getting to take a look at that. Then we're going to be going for my rated battleground compositions, plus a little competition I'm having between me and my friends, and something you may be interested in. Let's check it out. What's up, people? Anbraxas here, World of Warcraft Mr. Pandaria Beta with TGN.TV. And we're looking at the Warrior Season 12 PvP gear. It's finally out in the beta. It's finally got its textures. And this is what we're looking at right now. Looks like it's going to be the gear you get from grinding honor and regular battlegrounds. And this will be coming off of the vendor. No conquest points needed. Now, I'm not sure if this was 100% solid, because if you remember Season 9, Vicious gear had a completely different look from Ruthless, but we'll see what's going on when we get into Mr. Pandaria. I hope my fears aren't realized, and the Honor gear and the Conquest gear looks exactly the same. But here we have the Conquest gear. This is what you're going to get from doing your 2s, 3s, 5s, and rated battlegrounds. It is a recolored version of the Honor gear. And in my humble opinion, now just take this with a grain of salt because it's my opinion, I'm not a big fan of this simply because it's just a recolor of the Honor gear, and there's really no separator other than the color. There's nothing there saying, like, this guy did well, so he has the Conquest gear, and I'm not really digging that. I'm hoping it goes like it did in Season 9, 10, and 11, where Season 9 we started out with Vicious gear, kind of looked like crap. You know, it wasn't like a real visually appealing set, and then the Ruthless gear looked better than that. Next season, the Ruthless gear was the normal Honor gear, and then Cataclysmic gear was the Conquest gear from there, but we don't really know what's going on in the beta. We don't know what Blizzard's plans are. Right now, we can just hope that's not what they're doing. So, coming up, what are my RBG team setups going to be looking like? Alright, so moving into the rated battlegrounds portion of this video, we're going to be talking about what teams I'm going to be running, what I've got set up so far. This is based off of information I've been getting from the beta, but everything seems to be pretty solid. We're just working on some balancing things. And maybe a couple of things will change, but not too much is going to change or deviate from what I already have. So, first things first, let me get this off my chest. This is not going to be the best setup for everybody. This is my personal setup. I run rated battlegrounds. This is what I'm going to be using. This is what I theory crafted in the game. And I know I didn't finish the videos for that. It was just because people didn't seem that interested in it, but they may be interested in this format. So let's take a look at the list here. So coming into Season 12, a couple of things you need to keep in mind. The PvP season usually starts 1 month after the expansion launches, when the raids become available. Now, since monks have to level from level 1 to 90, it's going to probably take them almost a month, if not more. And since most servers' population makeup is 70% PvE and the rest are PvP, and some mix in between, chances are we won't see any monks going straight into PvP. Like, it's probably not something we're going to see. So this is what I'm going to be using at the very start, and then 2 or 3 months down the road I'll be changing my makeup. But first things first, I start with a Blood Death Knight flag carrier, Holy Paladin, Disc Priest, Resto Druid, Warrior for target calling, because that's going to be my slot as the RBG leader. I guess you could still technically put a Frosty K in here, but I actually don't think it'd be a great idea to have a Frosty K in there, simply because we already have one Death Knight who's flag carrying. Then we have Elemental Shaman. It's a toss-up between Ret Paladin and BM Hunter. I'm saying Ret Paladin because this is a 3-heal team, and sometimes a 3-heal team is a little bit short. A Ret Paladin can take the Selfless Healer ability and throw out some extra heals, becoming a 4th off-heal healer. The BM Hunter was simply chosen just because of its ability to burst down, say, a flag carrier or something. Then we have Fire or Frost Mage. I would prefer to have Fire because I'm bringing the Warlock. I'm not bringing the Warlock just because of the Mage, but I'm going to go with Fire for Combust, Dots, stuff like that, just some extra damage and some extra burst. Then we've got the Warlock, who's going to be Affliction. Now, I chose an Affliction Warlock versus the other two because it seems like in a PvP situation, Destrolocks take a while to get their Burning Ember procs running, so they're not going to be too viable, especially if they get killed very often. I went with the Affliction Warlock because they can still pick up the defensive abilities and keep themselves alive for a while, as well as having the Dot Dispel protection for the Fire Mage. And LA Shaman putting Flame Shock, stuff like that. So there'll be some dot protection there, but the main reason I'm actually bringing the Warlock is because it can throw down the Demonic Gateway. So they have their own teleport, and they can also set up the second gate, the one you see in the beta. It's the level 87 ability. And as far as I know, and I don't think it's going to change, it does appear that flag carriers can cross through this portal to cross a large distance of space with nothing but the Warlock's gate, and they can do it while holding the flag. So that's my primary reason for bringing a Warlock. They have high damage, high survivability, and then they have some utility being able to get the flag carrier from A to B, especially if you set it up in the flag room. One portal up top, one portal on the bottom. The enemy team wouldn't be able to use it. So that's why I'm looking at a Warlock there. And of course we have a Rogue, and the only reason I'm bringing the Rogue is not because they have high DPS anymore, but it's mostly because of their ability to group up with another person, anyone else on the team, with the group stealth ability, and they can try to sap cap a base, sap cyclone a base, whatever you want. But the primary reason for bringing them is for flag carrying matches where you have the flag carrier taking stacks. You're going to want to have that smoke bomb from the Rogue, so that's why I'm bringing the Rogue in that slot. That brings me to a total of 10. And I'm not going to go through my reasoning so much for each one, but I just want to say, on node maps, I would actually have the Blood Death Knight and the Holy Paladin taking farm for Arathi Basin. Then I would probably send either the Warlock or the Rogue down to mines. If not, it would be the BM Hunter. Chances are it actually would be the BM Hunter, because he would be needing to sit there and node sit for us. So that's what I do there. Everybody else will be going to Lumber Mill to combat the Alliance there. So for node maps, that's my decision behind that. It may not be an excellent decision, but that's what I've decided. Now, talking about flag carrying maps, everything seems to be pretty self-explanatory. Every class has its own utility. In fact, the Druid is actually going to symbiosis with the Elemental Shaman to give the Elemental Shaman Solar Beam, so we don't actually need a Boomkin on the team, because we will have Solar Beam up and available for us at any time. And I think that should pretty much cover it. Rogue for Smoke Bomb, etc. So, moving into the second build. Now, this is the 4 healer build, and this build is actually pretty darn weak, and I'm actually probably not going to run it, but I do have it in the works just in case I do need it. So, the second build would be Blood Death Knight Flag Carrier, Holy Paladin, Resto Shaman. Bringing the Resto Shaman simply because since we have 4 healers, he'll be able to single target heal while the Disc Priest mana burns another healer. Then we have the Resto Druid, Disc Priest. The Resto Druid would actually be symbiosising with either the Rogue or the Warlock. I'm not really sure. I'm not 100% sure what they get from the Mage. It could be the Mage. But the Druid would be symbiosising with someone in that respect. Warrior Target Caller. Dual Fire Mages for extra combustion, extra dots. The Warlock for dot protection. And then the Rogue, of course, for Smoke Bomb, etc. And then on a node map, this is where it gets a little bit sticky. The Rogue would be guarding a base, and then one of the Fire Mages would be guarding a base. The Blood Death Knight and Holy Paladin be stuck at Blacksmith, and then we'd have all 3 healers at Lumber Mill. It would be a pretty sticky situation. It's not the best build, so I'm probably not going to use this one, other than just to try it to see how it works out late season. This is a late season build. This isn't going to be an early season build. So, 2 months into the expansion, when we start to see monks and stuff showing up for PvP, where they're dedicated PvP players, I'm going to be building up a different set of teams. It's going to be a Brewmaster Monk, Holy Paladin, Resto Druid, Resto Shaman. Just for the Shaman for single target heals on the Monk, the Holy Paladin and the Resto Druid for group heals on flag carrying maps. And then we have the Warrior Target Caller, Elemental Shaman for burst, Frost or Unholy Death Knight for additional burst on top of that. That way we can still have things like Desecrated Ground, Remorseless Winter, what have you. Whatever they're set up with, it'll bring some extra utility to the forefront of the battle. Then we'd have the Frost or Fire Mage, the Warlock, and the Rogue. Now, you know why I brought those, but again, the Resto Druid could symbiosis with the Elemental Shaman. That way we do have an extra, or we have the Solar Beam out on the field too. Symbiosis is actually going to play pretty big into rated battlegrounds. It's just going to be a pretty good ability to use on the Elemental Shaman, simply because then we have the ability of a Boomkin, which is one of their primary abilities used on top of a smoke bomb. On top of a smoke bomb to really kill them, is now still in the group without having to have a Boomkin in the slot. And unfortunately, Boomkins don't seem that good at the moment. They may be better late season. Or not late season, but late expansion. Now the second build that I have involving monks is Blood Death Knight, Flag Carrier, Holy Paladin, Mistweaver Monk, Resto Druid, Warrior, Elemental, Hunter. The Hunter is now taking its own spot because he will be needed for node sitting. Mage, or Fire Mage, and Affliction Warlock and Rogue. Now the way I have this set up is Mistweaver Monk heals are pretty powerful. They bring some extra utility to the fight. They can do certain things that other healers can't, and they would be great for sticking with the Flag Carrier, allowing the rest of Druid and the Holy Paladin to heal the raid. If I didn't bring the Holy Paladin in this case, it would be a Disc Priest. But in this situation, I'm bringing the Hunter because I need an extra node sitter. It would be on node sitting maps, it would be the Rogue, Hunter, and Warrior actually doing the node sitting, and then I'd have the Ellie Shaman out there calling targets. Or I'm sorry, it would actually be the Hunter, Rogue, and Blood Death Knight node sitting. I made a mistake there. And then for the final build, this is just a fun build that I've been looking at. This is the Super Melee build, and this is something I actually want to try. It's Brewmaster, Flag Carrier, Holy Paladin, Resto Shaman, Disc Priest, Warrior, Arms or Fury, Frost Death Knight, Windwalker Monk, Mage, Lock, Rogue. It could make for some pretty interesting gameplay. But without going too deep into the specifics, those are my rated battleground builds. So now I'm sure you're wondering, what is the contest I was talking, or not the contest, but the competition I'm having with my friends? Well, one of my buddies, he actually watches my video, was kind of upset on how I disrespected PvE players, and I didn't mean any disrespect. I just don't think very highly of PvE at all. But he wanted to challenge me. He says, you wouldn't be saying these things unless you were actually running the heroics yourself. And he's probably right. So come Mr. Pandaria, here's what I'm trying to do. Now this isn't a set in stone thing. This is a personal goal. What I want to do is I want to clear heroic, whatever the first raid setup is. I want to clear unheroic before a 20% debuff. So I'm going to be looking to get myself in a guild there. I'm looking to go 2200 in 3 vs 3 and then 2200 in rated battlegrounds. I want to get 2200 in both this season. And then as far as rated battlegrounds are concerned, if we can go even higher than that and achieve a Hero of the Horde, I want to do that. But because I'm going to be doing these things simultaneously, I'm going to be raiding, I'm going to be doing rated battlegrounds and arena all at the same time. It could get pretty daunting. I might miss a couple of the goals, but those are my goals for Mists of Pandaria. So I think that's about it, guys, for this video. I'm glad you watched. Hopefully you made it this far to find out what I'm doing. I will make another video stating what I'm doing coming into Mist about 2 weeks before Mist of Pandaria launches. So that's been it for me, and this is Anbraxas signing off. This video is part of the Wave Movement, a career path in video, sponsored by TGN. To learn more, please visit tgn.tv.